Hello and welcome to another SRS podcast. Today we're joined with Dr. Jay Shapiro. So first, thanks for joining us, Dr. Shapiro. Quick little bit about him, and the reason he's joining us today is he's currently the historian of the SRS. Prior to that, or I guess in addition to that, he was a pediatric orthopedic surgeon out of Austin, Texas, where he's a clinical professor at UT Southwestern, and he was previously the chief of the orthopedics at the Dell Medical Center. So, Dr. Shapiro, thanks so much for joining us, and tell us about the great work you guys do in the History Society. So maybe start with there.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Jeff. Thank you. Just a word of clarification. Actually, I'm a clinical professor at the Dell Medical School now that the Dell Medical School opened up. So I transferred allegiance there. But basically, yeah, the history committee functions in kind of a little bit of an unusual fashion in that the historians, the past two historians, the historian that's here now, and the person who we hopefully will have as the future historian. So all four of us kind of make up the historian line. It's kind of a bastardization of the presidential line, not nearly as important. But basically, it gives quite a few. So we actually have some decent history in the group of kind of what's going on and what we're doing. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about our most recent visit to the archives in Kansas City. We typically will go almost once a year as an ability of all of us to get together with the archivists there and kind of go through what we're doing, trying to move things forward with the archive. But we hadn't been able to go for about 2 years because of COVID. So it was actually a really great visit. The other members of the group, Behruz Akbarnia, who was the historian a couple of times ago, and then George Thompson, who was the historian before I took over this past meeting, and then Rick Schwind, who is on tab to be the next historian after me. So all four of us were there, along with Laura Pezar, our SRS person, and then because of Dr. Akbarnia's involvement, one of the SRS members, Pat Kostrel, was also there. So it was a really nice visit, and allowed us to talk about a lot of things. I can run through some things that are in the works and kind of catch up to date and get the group up to date and what we're planning and what's happening, if you want me to do that.
Yeah, I'm sure the membership would love to hear that. So maybe give us a little quick update on what you guys went over the trip, and maybe next, I guess, the immediate future for the History Society.
Yeah. So basically, the biggest thing that's happening is that hopefully by September, October, we're going to have a archivist hired by the SRS who actually will be on a 1-year contract. And the idea is that we need to have somebody come in and organize all the data that we've got and all the artifacts and everything that we've got, and get it in a form where if somebody wants to find things, that there's a kind of bring it up to date so that we've got it cataloged and organized. It's interesting that if you get a chance to go to the archives, and very upfront about the fact that the archives is open to any SRS member. All you've got to do is let Laura know, or one of us, one of the historians know, and we can get in contact with the people there. Our goal is to make it so that it becomes a lot easier for somebody to see the archives. They don't have to call ahead to make sure that the people at KU know they're there. It is an unbelievable place to visit. There is the Harrington collection that the University of Kansas has, and it is pretty phenomenal. It has the instrumentation all the way back to all of Harrington's stuff, all his old stuff, and then all the instrumentation that have come since then, going through the development of the instrumentation. And it seems kind of like that, that wouldn't be that big of a deal. I'm using so much different instrumentation. It is incredibly important for us to keep all these things, because actually it helped in the pedicle screw litigation, because there was documentation before the FDA had put in some of their rules. And actually, for us doing growth guided procedures, that the fact that we had documentation that they were doing growing procedures with Harrington instrumentation allowed us to be able to get the FDA to say, yeah, this predated our rules, and so yes, you can use the magic rod, you can use growing procedures in children with FDA approval. So it seems kind of like self-serving as a historian saying, hey, yeah, we need to keep all this stuff, but it really has made a difference in what happens to the society.
Very good.
Yeah.
That's great. And I guess next thing in a lot of SRS membership's mind is upcoming meeting in Stockholm, Sweden. Is there going to be a sort of history section presence there?
Yeah, actually, we came to the conclusion, and what I wanted to try and do as historian was that I wanted to have an exhibit at each meeting that related to the area. So for Stockholm, we have one of the SRS members from Stockholm has put together a poster that basically outlines the history of spine deformity surgery in Sweden. And it's pretty interesting. Some of the the developments, and we've got some fairly decent illustrations. I'd like it in the future to be a little bit more interactive, and hopefully we'll have, depending on the location, have some actual instrumentation or bracing or other things, so it's a little bit more interactive. But it's one of the things that we want to do is every time we go to a location, delve into the history of that location, and that also then becomes part of the archives. It's one of those things that hopefully on every annual meeting we'll have that process happen. And if we can if we have an archivist available, depending on how things work out after the first year, then the goal would be to have the archivist help that person or persons in that country or that location, say it's Seattle, get together the presentation and thing for the meeting. So hopefully everybody will get a chance to take a look at that. It's fairly interesting and really kind of goes into the contributions all the way from Nachemson to the current members.
That sounds interesting. I'm looking forward to that. Maybe just stepping back a second, how did you get involved in the history section and sort of maybe tell members that little story of yours?
Yeah, so, I started out, it's interesting, I was a historian for the Pediatric Orthopedic Society for 6 years, and I kind of got roped into that. One of my fellow mates from Scottish Rite was the historian, and after he was on his way out, I kind of got pegged to be the historian. And I've always had an interest in history. I've served on both the committee for the SRS and for POSNA. And really what kind of happened, I was on the committee at that time. We had multiple committee members at the SRS, and it's been like the 5th or 6th or 7th committee I've been on or chaired or those things. And as it turns out, the historian at the time was Behruz Akbarnia, and Behruz has kind of been a mentor for me, or really has been a mentor for me from the time I was a resident. He was still in St. Louis when I was in St. Louis, and so we've maintained a friendship over the years. And he and George Thompson both have a significant historical interest, and it just ended up, Behruz goes, well, you're going to be the next historian, and I'm kind of going, okay, I guess so. And that's kind of how it happened.
The rest is history, as they say.
Yeah.
So maybe just in line with that, is there any members who want to get involved, or is there a way they reach out to you and get involved?
Yeah, actually, one of the goals of the society is that we're kind of changing at this point. I'm probably, I'm in my early 60s. At least so far. I'll be 64 in October. But my age group is kind of the last group that experienced a lot of the development of spine deformity surgery. So the younger group, for us, I met most of the people that we talk about historically for the SRS, The younger group coming in don't have that background, and the goal is to get the younger people involved, because it really is important. If you really look back, there's nothing that we knew now. Everything we think of as an innovation, somebody probably did something very similar in the late 1800s or early 1900s. It's really kind of remarkable. Now, a lot of times it wasn't successful, but the ideas were there. So there's kind of this thing that nothing's really new again. If you don't kind of understand the history of where we came from, then your innovations are just not going to be as good. And, it's kind of one of those things that if we can get some of the younger members interested, there are things that we can get them if they're interested in helping. One of the things is making sure that we have the timeline that was set up for the 50th anniversary meeting to fill it out more, so that we've got a place on the website where people can go to that really goes through kind of when things were developed, a little bit about the people that developed them, a little bit about the history of how that was developed. And it involves things that we use every day when we're operating on our patients. So that's kind of the way we can get people involved if they're interested, and especially if they've got an interest in a specific area. Let us know. We're more than happy to get them involved and get them helping us put that together.
And should they reach out to you directly, or? They
can reach out to me, any of the four of us in the historian line, or Laura also with the SRS office. And we can get them involved in that process. One of the things that we're in the middle of the website redesign, and that's another focus of the group, is trying to get as much as possible online and get it to where it's accessible easily for everybody. We obviously want you to come and visit, and the people who visited the archives will tell you there's nothing like that. But we want that available online, and that'll focus around the timeline, and so that people have an ability to do that. Right now, the historical site is incredibly difficult to get to on the website, and we kind of were pushed back for financial reasons until this website redesign. But the goal is to have the interviews that we have with everybody. If people don't know, we have video interviews with everybody who was a president of the society, anybody who won any of the awards, the Lifetime Achievement Award winners. All those people are all have video interviews, and it's really pretty interesting, especially when you find out that either who you trained with or the person who trained you actually trained with these people. It really is interesting.
That's great, Dr. Shapiro. So quickly, I think our time's kind of running out here. My big takeaways from our little conversation here was that all members can visit the archives. I didn't know that was an opportunity. So in Kansas City, Missouri, if you ever go into KU, you can check out that. Sounds like a really good opportunity. And then I like the idea of getting more and more sort of local history from at the annual meetings. So I look forward to what they have in store in Stockholm. Anything else from your end you want to touch on quickly?
No, I think that's pretty much covered everything. I appreciate you guys giving us the opportunity to talk to everybody.
All right, well, very good. So again, anybody who wants to get involved can reach out to Dr. Shapiro. Otherwise, look forward to seeing everybody in Stockholm. Have a great day.
Thank you. Look forward to seeing you there.
Bye.
The Scoliosis Research Society is a nonprofit professional organization made up of physicians and allied health personnel. Their primary focus is on providing continuing medical education for healthcare professionals and on funding and supporting research in spinal deformities. Please visit srs.org for further information.